So before I'll dive in and begin to talk about how to remove fears in general and also how to remove specific fears, as I told you earlier, the 10 most common fears, I just want to talk about what are fears anyway? I mean, what are they? Obviously, there are this huge thing in our lives, this thing that is called fears. Everyone has fears. You have fears. I have fears, and we just need to deal with them. I mean, they are there, and they are affecting our lives in a very, very real sense. Alright, so what are fears? It's very hard to explain. It's one of those things that, you can look at the dictionary, but what are they really, and how do they affect us? Well, I claim that fear is one of the fundamental things in our lives, maybe even in the universe. Alright, for me, fear is almost a different word to describe darkness. Alright, fear is this pole, this extreme in one end of the scale, whereas love is this other pole or other extreme in the other side of the scale. Alright, we are always choosing between two things. This is the one and only decision we make in our lives. The choice between fear and love. Now, obviously, we have many, many, many different choices that we make throughout our lives. But when you go really, really deeply, especially when we talk about really important decisions, it seems that it's always the case. It's always the choice between fear and love. And there is no shame in choosing fear over love, but you probably shouldn't. You probably try as you evolve spiritually and evolve and grow in life in general. You should really try your best and really work hard to remove all fear from your life. All fear. All fear does not serve you. You don't need fear anymore. Any fear. Now I know it sounds a bit surprising. You may say, listen man, I need some fears in my life. For example, I need to fear falling off a cliff. Because if I didn't have the fear of falling off a cliff, I might fall off a cliff or something like that. Sometimes that's something I hear when I talk to people about fears. But you know what I have to say about that? I think that's a pretty weird case. That's a pretty weird thing to say. I don't know. Why do you need to fear falling off a cliff? Why do you need the fear of heights? Are you worried that you are going to jump spontaneously out of a cliff if you didn't have this fear? You probably won't. I mean, you are a smart guy or girl, and you have the frontal cortex and you have your brain. You don't need those instincts, those deep inherent instincts, almost primal or animalistic fears of heights or of jumping off a cliff. You don't need it. It does not serve you. The reality is that you can think and say to yourself, if I jump off this cliff right now, I would probably get hurt. I may break some bones. That's why it's probably not a good idea to jump off a cliff right now. You see, I used my frontal cortex, I used my brain to think and realized, that's not a good idea. You know what? I won't jump off a cliff today. No fear was involved in the process. Fear does not serve you. You don't need to fear cliffs. You don't need to fear heights. You don't need any fear in your life. You can just make the conscious decision not to jump off a cliff. Alright, in a very similar way, all the other fears. Maybe a baby should have a fear from fire. I mean, if it touches fire and realizes, that's not fun to touch fire. So he makes this decision in his head and he remembers that fire is something dangerous and he fears fire. Maybe it serves the baby if this is the kind of a baby that doesn't have too much of parent involvement in his life. Maybe this baby actually needs this fear of fire. You know what? Maybe. But you as an adult, you as a spiritual being that's very, very high and going higher and higher and higher as time passes by, you really don't need to fear fire. Maybe as a baby you needed it, but you know what? It does not serve you anymore. Alright, so in conclusion, fear is this fundamental thing in our lives. It's something that everybody shares. It's something that all human beings share. And many animals share. Alright? Fear is this inherent thing that may have served you in the past, but today it does not serve you. And you need to try as hard as humanly possible to remove all fears from your life. As time passes by, you may notice that more and more fears are in you. You begin and remove one fear, and then you notice another. You remove the second fear, and a third fear shows up. That's really, really good. It means that you are progressing. It's great. More and more fears you will notice all of a sudden, and then over time, you will be surprised. Some fears will be very surprising to you because these are deep fears. As you remove more and more fears, you go deeper and deeper into your soul, into your psyche, and you notice that deeper and deeper issues are there. It's darkness. It's like negative energy. It's something negative that is within you that does not serve you anymore. And as you remove the fears, it feels amazing. It feels like a weight is being lifted off your shoulders. The joy you will feel after removing fears from your life is something amazing. It's something really spiritual. It's something really, really fun and enjoyable. And I wish you will experience it more and more and more as you remove fears from yourself. And you know what? After you feel that you have reached a very high point and you already love yourself so much, meaning that you have removed fears, many fears, or maybe even all fears from your life, you know what? Maybe it's time to love others. And maybe it's time to remove fears from other people. They need you. Look around you, man. Those people, millions and millions of people all around us, they are filled with fears. And if you manage to remove fears from yourself, it's probably a good idea to serve humanity, to serve your family, to serve your friends, and help them remove fears from their own hearts and see the beauty in which they remove fears and become higher and higher and higher in consciousness and happier and happier and happier and more joyful, and their lives will be much better because of you, because you serve them and remove fear from their lives. And after you do it with your friends and your family, you know what? Maybe begin do it with strangers because it's so much fun. It's almost like a hobby. I do it all the time. I really do. I enjoy it so much. People will begin to thank you. People will begin to cry. It's really remarkable how much of an effect one person can have on other people's lives, even strangers. You will be very surprised. Don't think to yourself that removing fears is something that needs a long time to happen. Some people, the misconception and something that some people think is that removing fears is something that you need, I don't know, many meetings with like a psychologist or something. You know what? It's not really required. You can do it quite quickly as you progress and you become better and better and better. You will see that removing fears, it's quite easy. Anyway, I know I really didn't explain what fear is, but I tried anyways. So, enjoy the course, my friend, and please help your brothers and sisters in this humanity of ours and remove as much fear as humanly possible from the world.